Just a quick one before we dive in. I've just opened up 2 brand new ways to work with me. If you're an established beauty professional who's ready to increase your revenue, either in your clinic or by moving into the online mentoring and educational space, you can join me for a 2-month container where we build and validate your first online offer or your next big move. Or if you're ready to go all in, there is a 7-month private mentorship where we build, launch and scale your new revenue stream together. If you're not sure which one's right for you, I'm offering a handful of free business clarity calls, quick and powerful to map out your fastest path and to see which container fits best. Just DM me the word revenue on Instagram or check the link in the show notes and email me. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to the Beauty Build podcast with me, Zara King. As a coach for beauty pros, it is my mission to help you earn more, work less, and create an unstoppable mindset. This is the show where we explore all of that. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your beauty business, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and join us on the journey. And for more, get yourself inside my private community, The Beauty Build on Facebook. Hello beautiful people and welcome back to another episode. Today I am talking to the gorgeous Gemma Dawson and I honestly cannot wait for you to hear all of the bits and bobs that she speaks about today. She is an incredible nail artist. She has competed in competitions. She has won competitions. She works with character artwork and 3D artwork and she is just incredible. And she's just also an amazing human being. So I can't wait for you to get into this episode and really learn from all the little bits that she has to go through. Thanks for being here. Let's get into it. First of all, could you just introduce yourself for us? Let us know who you are, how you got into the industry and where you're at in your journey so far.
Yes, so my name is Gemma Dawson. I'm 34. I am a full-time stay-at-home mum. I home educate my kids and I'm a nail artist on the side, kind of. I don't currently take on clients. I have done previously, but I don't anymore at the moment. I focus more on social media content and using it as kind of like an outlet for myself to sort of keep in with it in case I can ever go back when the time comes up.
Yeah.
So I retrained in nails from like a really different career. So I used to, I was actually at university for a very long time. I was finishing up a PhD in statistics and statistical analysis using very large, dense data sets from the government. And then I fell pregnant with Riley, my eldest. And when I was on maternity leave with him, I just really desperately realised how unhappy I'd been. And I'd always wanted to do something more creative. I've always been quite a creative person. I love anything like crafty or like used to love drawing when I was younger and stuff. Mm. And I always used to be really envious of my brothers because they're both self-employed, they've both got businesses and they both finished school and college and then just went out and did their job and they just loved it and it was like their passion. So I was like, oh, well, what can I do? I've always loved. It allowed me to be a bit more arty. And then that's how I decided to train in nails alongside being on mat leave.
Wow.
And then once I'd done that, I kind of got the bug. I think the second course I did was like after I'd done my basics, was like a gel polish art course. And I was like, wow, I'm enjoying this way too much. Like all the other courses, yeah, great, they were cool and I loved doing that. But it was the art specifically and I was like, oh, that's really exciting. I really like glitter and this is a really good fit. Yeah. So, I just kind of went that route and then I decided, right, I want to move to a specific brand and try and like make sure that I know as much as I can about what I'm using and just did more training with specific brands and went on from there and there and there. And it was really only after I had my second baby that I brought it to Instagram properly because I'd had clients in between the 2 kids. I'd stopped clients just before my second baby.
Okay.
And then it was lockdown. She was 7 months old. We went into lockdown and I think I'd have gone stir crazy had I not had that to pick back up.
Yeah.
So I thought the kids love Disney cartoons. I thought I'll have a go at characters and then I started posting them and it just sort of got a life of its own and all of a sudden it stopped being normal with sets of nails with natural nails and things like I'd done previously and started being more character based and that was it really.
Wow. So after mental. I love it that you've taken lockdown and that's when the characters started and everything. So when you were doing clients, you weren't doing character artwork or anything like that then? No.
No, nothing like that. I mean, I did do a bit of art, but not to this sort of level of detail, really. I think the most exciting it got for me, because a lot of my clients were clients who would want French or nude or classic red, lovely, but they never really wanted to let me loose.
Yeah, lovely, but not as exciting as we would like.
No, I don't say I blame them. I mean, I suppose they didn't want to walk around with Dumbo on their nails for like 3 weeks, but it would have been nice.
Yeah.
And I think like once I started the characters, I kind of realised that it probably wouldn't work to the extent that I like to do it in a client setting. Because realistically, most people wouldn't let me keep them here for like 3 hours, which at the time some of it was taking, sometimes longer. And then, like I say, with lockdown, I didn't have a choice. And then if I just thought, I'll just post it, I'll just see. And then it was just a really lovely way, really, to connect with the industry. That I think where I was retraining late, I didn't know anybody else that worked within the industry at the time. And it had the potential to be quite a lonely path for me to take. And Instagram, as faulty as it can be, really helped me connect with lovely people like yourself, who like I could chat to and had like a shared passion, and like I could see all their amazing work and that post my work, and then they'd message me and say, "Oh, I really like this. Have you thought about trying that?" And someone asked me once to do RuPaul's Drag Race. It was the first portrait set I'd ever done, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bit stressful." But I tried it and I loved it and I did it, and they were like, "Oh, I love that," and whatever else, and it just kind of took a lot of its own, really. But it was lovely because it gave me that community, and I've never had that at my previous job, because it was just really cliquey and like not very nice. And so it was just really refreshing to have that, especially because I was worried joining later on that I might struggle to get that.
Yeah, I want to talk to you a bit about your nail art, but before we do, because we've touched on that and I'm getting to know you here, I've met you through Instagram. Just for the listeners, I came across your page when it was doing the rounds through the community, because you'd lost your Instagram. We're going to get onto that a bit later as well, right? I'm going to ask you about how that was. But before we do, so that's how I knew you. And obviously we've had our little chats here and there, but nothing major. So I'm getting to know you and I love this. So how did it feel? So you've left a job, you've gone and trained, you're on maternity leave, you've gone and trained in nails, started a business, and then you're thrown into a lockdown. Can you tell me how you went about going through the change from I'm going to start this business and I'm going to do clients to now I want to be a creator?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, if I'm honest, and being completely honest, it was probably 75% luck and chance. I wanted the nails originally when I retrained, because I was, like I say, desperately unhappy, and I wanted something that was more that I could get my teeth into and I'd love. I wanted to finish working and be like, "Oh, I really love today. Like, this is so exciting, and I really enjoy going to work." And I didn't have that with my other career. And I also wanted it because I was in a fortunate position where my husband was like, "It's fine, you go find what it is you want to do, I can cover this." Like, we dropped down obviously from 2 salaries to 1, and I wanted to be home with the kids more, so I knew I wanted something I could be flexible with as well. But I was in a fortunate position where I could kind of find my feet with it, so I did pick up clients and did, like, all the training and the in-person courses and like all the branded courses, and then I started picking up clients and bits like that, and it was really fun, and I loved the social side of it as well. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to see where this takes me. He said that he's happy to cover, initially like the outlay and what we've got coming in to cover like boring stuff like bills. And it gives me that freedom. He knew I was really unhappy and we were just really fortunate, so tried that out. I had some regular clients, not loads and loads, because I still have very little baby at home and I was still like juggling that and getting used to it, but had a few. And I don't really know how I got to that point. I knew I really liked nail art, but probably, if I'm honest, had lockdown not happened, where I was forced to, I mean, I was on maternity leave anyway, so I had tapered off to have my second baby. And then, like I say, before, I'd always in my mind had like a year in my mind, because I didn't have, and I had clients I knew would come back, and I didn't have to worry too much about them going anywhere long term. So most of them were close friends and family and stuff. So where I was just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I'm going to go have the baby, take possibly, up to a year back. If I feel ready before, great. And then ease back into it. But then obviously at 7 months old, that's when lockdown hit.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, oh, well, I can't go back now. So I'll have to wait a little bit longer. And then I suppose like through the process of lockdown, I mean, like I say, I homeschool now anyway. And that was something we were already looking at before. But at the time, I think my son was only coming up to starting school. So he was just about starting that September. And I think lockdown was like March, April, wasn't it? Yeah. So I knew I had it coming up. But I suppose for me, like it kind of got to that point where he was due to start school and I knew I was taking on that responsibility. And my husband is a retail manager. So he was working throughout the pandemic. And I can obviously see my mum, who I'm incredibly close to, like the rest of us, lots of people we couldn't see. And I think, if I'm honest, without sounding really dramatic, the nail art kind of saved me a bit because I think I just think I'd have been so lonely. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what pushed me to do it. I knew I liked the art. I had a bit of free time. The baby was still napping then in those blissful days.
Those days.
and I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to try. I think my son asked me to paint a superhero. And I did it. And he really loved it. And I thought, well, I had the Instagram anyway for when I used to have clients. Just over a couple of hundred people on there and like a few clients that I'd done, a few like natural nail shots and a couple of extensions, bits like that, but not really spent a lot of time on it. And I just thought, oh, do you know what? I'm going to post this. And it had a really lovely reaction. And I think at the time I was using, I can't remember what I was using. It might have been Magpie. I posted it on one of their groups because I'd done some training with them. And it got a really good response. And that got me a few more followers. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's nice. Then it got a few messages from followers, and then it was, oh, have you thought about doing this? Because people were in lockdown as well, and they were wanting to watch stuff. Yeah. So, it just kind of took on a life of its own, and I think it was like a really happy accident, really. Yeah. And it's just kind of gone that route. And now, with the 2 kids at home and homeschooling, realistically, client-wise, I really only do really close family. And then I don't post their stuff because I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered to pose your hand.
Yeah.
Because you're going to give me attitude. Like my mum would be like, oh, for God.
Yeah. Yeah. My mum always says to me, my hand looks awful in that. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm like,
my mum's like, my hand's not that wrinkly. Stop making them look that wrinkly. Mum, I can't. What do you want me to do?
I'm not a magician.
So I don't bother to take photos of that, but I do them occasionally. But it's literally just friends and family now, a super close circle. Yeah. But I mean, I still miss it a little bit because I love doing the natural nails as well and seeing how happy people were after and what a difference their mood could be and how excited they'd be when they're like, oh, it matches my dress or I'm going here, and that aspect of it. And it's not something that I would rule out going back to. But like I say, the online stuff took on a life of its own, and I just thought, well, we'll give it a go.
Let it go.
I don't worry about anyone getting arm ache because it's either a fake hand or it's narrative. So.
Yeah. I love it. You're so good at what you do. It's lovely.
Oh, thank you.
No, you're welcome. It's so good to see. When I first saw your page, I was like, oh my gosh. So obviously it was doing the rounds and saying Gemma's lost her account and everything. And then all I could see was this incredible nail art. And I thought, you poor thing. So how did you get so incredible? Let's talk about that. Because now you must look at your work and think, damn, I'm so good. You must think, geez.
I wish I did. But I have the worst imposter syndrome. Really? And I don't know if it's because I joined late, like I say, and it was like a real change for me from what I was doing. So I immediately think I'm on the back foot. Or if it's just because we're our own worst critics. I'm not really sure. But there are some sets of nails where I'll finish them and I'll be like, these are I'm happy with these. But it doesn't ever go any further than that. I'm never like, this is amazing. I just, and I'm always like to my husband, like, do you think that looks all right? I mean, the amount of nails that I've got that I haven't posted. Really? I mean, it's just, I think a lot of us are the same, aren't we? We all worry that, I suppose it's quite a vulnerable thing to do, isn't it? When you post your own work, especially if it's your own original work as well, some of the competition stuff I've done a bit. I really struggle posting that sometimes because I think it's really tricky to have an original idea that no one's seen before when you're a character artist who's used to people just knowing what you're painting and already liking that, probably because Disney's so popular. It's really tricky going from that to then posting an original idea that you've then got to try and get across to somebody who has no idea what you were trying to create, and try and get them to see it from your perspective, you know, and be like, oh, this is what I wanted it to look like. And then like, okay, that's a bit weird, you know.
Yeah.
That's my biggest worry, like putting it. I think that's been a bit of a tricky area for me, kind of transition, I guess, from just characters to more of my own work again. But yeah, I don't think I'm ever really that happy with it.
Really? How many hours do you think that you put in to practice to get to the level that you're at?
I mean, yeah, quite a few. And like, as I say, originally it was at a time when I had the time, so I was lucky in that way. But yeah, I think it really is just, it's practice, and I almost feel like it's muscle memory, you know, like in the same way my left hand will pose immediately in a nail pose and my right won't. I feel like my right will hold a brush and it will be weighted in the right way, and I'll hold it at the right point, and I'm just used to it. So yeah, I mean, I guess I just started doing little bits every day, really, just around the kids. Like every time the baby was napping and my son was having like some sort of chill out time or playing Lego, I would do an hour. And I guess it kind of got to the point where I sort of had to force that little bit of time for myself, you know, so that I was regular enough with it that it made a difference.
Yeah.
And I can see now, looking back on sets that I did in the beginning versus now, and I love a good comparison shot.
I know.
That's the only time where I'm like, oh, okay, that's better.
Yeah. You see that bit of progress, you think, oh my gosh, look how far I've come. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've always been quite crafty, like I said. I've always liked drawing. I always, like, even younger, like I made like our wedding decorations and stuff like that. I've always liked having crystals for things. When I used to dance when I was younger, I used to decorate all the dress, and I have a bit of Swarovski, and you know, so it's not that vastly different in some ways. And yeah, I think it was just something that I always kind of liked. And when you like something, it's much easier, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And it's so nice that you get to do what you love, you know?
Yeah.
We're really similar when it comes to that kind of thing, creativity. We're both similar. And I think we're so lucky, aren't we? Get to do what you want to do. And
yeah, 100%.
So good.
100%.
So with your 3D stuff, let's move on to that, because the characters are insane. Now, this competition stuff that you've got going on, this 3D stuff, if anyone listening hasn't yet seen Gemma Dawson's page, oh my goodness, check out the competition work. Can you?
It's a bit extreme at the moment, isn't it?
Crazy. I love it. So what are your top tips for people that want to get good at this 3D artwork? It's a big thing at the minute, and obviously those competition pieces are another league, but even the 3D bits that are coming into sort of salon spaces and normal artwork at the moment, I'm seeing a massive trend. So how would you tell people to get comfortable with this? What are your top tips?
So I would say for me, and I was really thinking about this one when I read through the questions, I'd say for me, make sure that when you're first trying, you pick whichever system it is that you are the most confident with. Because depending on how big you want to go, and obviously we know this, you know, like you say, salon variants as well, I almost feel like you need to know your product to know how far you can push its limits. And a lot of 3D is about being able to really push those limits, I think. But yeah, like I would just say practice, perseverance, don't panic if it immediately doesn't look right. I mean, the amount of times I think I did a salon design Easter bunny with scratch earlier on in the year, and it was really super quick, really fun design. And I think I did extra whiskers, which I didn't originally have in the design, but I love a bit of like 3D whiskers on things. And loads of people saying, "Oh, do you know what? I really want to have a go at that," because even if it's in salon and you need to be quick, there are definitely like products and like little tweaks you can make to include it. So don't panic. I mean, when I first started that bunny, he looked like a sponge on a nail with some pointy whiskers, you know? It's just, but I think if you choose a system you're most comfortable with, then you've got the most control on the product anyway. So half the battle's won. And I think if you are going to go big and you want to do big competition work or like a big statement piece for Instagram, be really aware of how it was photographed, which I know probably sounds really weird, but especially because obviously my focus being mainly on social media at the moment, I've had it a few times where I've created these really big 3D pieces, and for the life of me, I cannot get that shot. I can't get the photo because obviously your phone's trying to focus in on the detail up front, but then you've got, say, for example, a dinosaur. I had a dinosaur that specifically plagued me. From the front, great, but you couldn't get the detail of his teeth, so I had to tilt him from the side because from the front I was getting nose, and then that was it, just blur.
Yeah.
So if you are going to go for 3D, I would say sometimes what looks really weird from the side and really like short and not proper, and from the front will probably photo really well. So I think it's kind of about adjusting your concept of like angles and the photography and stuff. Whereas with flat art, you don't have that quite so much, I don't think. If you sort of take the curvature of the nail into account and you've adjusted for that in your flat piece, generally they photo really nicely, don't they?
They do.
But yeah, I would just say practice and just make sure you're really comfortable with whatever system you're using.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know where to start, honestly. I know which system I want to use, but I don't play around for ages and ages, but thank you. It's such good advice for everyone.
Oh.
What I was going to ask you as well is what led you to the competitions, and what competitions have you actually taken part in?
So for me, when I did that initial art course, it was actually a course because when I first started to swap over, I wasn't really sure where to go for training, and I was home with the baby. So I did some courses with Essential Nails, who were like a distance learning where you'd send your coursework off and you'd send it back. And because I knew I didn't want to do online, because obviously for a million different reasons, but I was starting out and I thought this is the only way I can physically do this because I can't leave the baby. My husband's working full time and stuff like that. So that's what I decided to do. And they were great. And I felt like I could really take my time with it because it gave you the opportunity to send it off and send it back, send it off and send it back for months and months until you were happy with it. Well, in the process of doing that, I did this gel polish art course. And one of the teachers at the time on the video that they sent you was Kirsty Meakin.
Oh.
Now, obviously, Kirsty Meakin is an incredible competition artist. And I watched a video that she'd filmed for them on these Las Vegas inspired like almost like cocktail party nails that she was doing. And I'm doing the course and she's talking all about how she's on the competition circuit. She's based in Las Vegas, doing Las Vegas competition circuit. And I was like, wow, how incredible. I would love to do that. And I just loved the idea of it. Like I couldn't get enough of it. And I thought, oh, I'd love to be good enough for us to do that one day. So I knew I liked the idea of it anyway. And then even with the imposter syndrome, I think I don't know if it was through lockdown. It might have been just after lockdown. But after I'd had that sort of reintroduction to the nail art, I saw that Nail Olympia was doing an online category because of lockdown. And they never used to do it, did they?
I remember this.
In person, yeah. So I saw that and I was like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? No one knows me at this. Like, you know, I haven't met anyone. Like, I don't really post anything. It will give me something fun to do. And I'm a massive country music fan. And the theme that jumped out at me was nail art for a country music album. And I was like, I've got to do it. I've got to do this. Like, I have to do it. So I just sat there and did it. And I did this duetting couple and like added all like the country and western stuff in the background and stuff. And I just really loved it. It was just so fun to paint. And at the time, I was having real fun showing like relationships on nails. So even if the art was flat, I often like to do sort of people facing each other and interacting, even though they weren't moving. And that's what I did. So I painted them, and I was so excited. And I remember I was in my kitchen on results night by the fridge. I don't know why.
Obviously.
I'm always by the fridge, really. But I was by the fridge, and I had one headphone in. I thought, I'll just see like the results. Like, I'm interested to see who's won anyway. And I came third, but it was my first ever competition, and I was like flabbergasted that Alex Fox had said my name. It was Alex and Helena from Scratch, and they were saying, "Oh, third place is UK," blah. And I was like,
really?
That's amazing! Like, so excited. Honestly, like, I can still remember it now. And yeah, and that was it really. So then from that point on, I thought, well, okay, all the while Nail Olympia does an online category because I'm too much of a baby to go in person, I will do it because my art obviously takes quite a long time. You know, I'd love to be at a level where I felt confident enough to do in-person French or gel polish in person, you know, proper on the floor categories. Because of what I like being the more flat and mixed media categories anyway, it worked really well for me that they had those online ones that I could send in around the kids. So then I just started doing it really. So I did Now Olympia London twice. The second time I entered, I came first. So I was happy with that. Absolutely buzzing.
The second time you entered Nail Olympia, you came first. Serious? Like, Gemma, hello.
I don't know how.
You were made for this. This is your stage. You were made for this.
I mean, thank you. That's really kind. I still struggle. I'm still like, oh, well, I don't know if I should enter. But I tend to only do the competitions where the categories are really up my street. So the first one was the country one, and the second one that I came first in was pop art. And pop art is a real love of mine. I love that style of nails. I love anything cartoon, but like comic cartoon.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I've got to do that. And at the time, I'd had my second baby, and I was really self-conscious, and I was trying to lose weight, and I was really preoccupied with all these like emotions. And I did this pop art lady, and I had like a tape measure around her waist, and all this food that she should eat on one side and shouldn't eat on one side, and I really let it out.
Yeah, I remember seeing this set. Yeah.
So, and I felt great after. I was like, how cathartic! It's like therapy. That's all my issues on there. That's all my worries and concerns, and and I'll just submit it for fun because I love doing it. And then obviously it panned out really well. So I did Now Olympia a few times. I have to think. I haven't done loads. I did write them down because I knew I'd forget. So I did Now Olympia Estonia because again they had a really cool theme. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was mixed media. I'd never done mixed media before, but it was an online category again, and I thought, why not? So I did that. And then I've done Pro Beauty a couple of times, and then obviously WSNA. So not loads and loads.
Yeah.
But
just for anyone listening as well, Gemma, can you just explain WSNA? Because some people have no idea what you're talking about.
So yeah, absolutely. So World Star Nail Artist, which is obviously Scratch's new big nail art competition that they're going to, I think, put on every year going forward now. This was the first year they did it, so it was a bit trial and error. And if I'm honest, I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Really,
it was amazing. It was amazing. I wouldn't change it, but I had always looked at Next Top Nail Artists in America and been like, oh, I'm just not there yet. It's not my time. I could just feel it in my waters. I was like, no, not yet. And I kept doing these smaller competitions. And my aim for 2023 was to enter as many as I could. So my original plan was to do Now Olympia again, Pro Beauty as many times as possible, and just really get myself used to it, and then maybe try for the Next Top Nail Artist next year. And then when Scratch launched that, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it. It's one nail. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
I had all these half-made entries for Now Olympia that I was working on. I was all organised. I was all, really early, like lovely. And I submitted it, and I got through. And I was like, oh, well, I wasn't expecting that. But, what's the worst that can happen? I'll just do once there. And it just kept going and going and going, which was lovely. But it's so intense. It's like, that's like next level. Like, I didn't feel qualified to be working at that level. Like, it was a lot. Like, you were working, you'd get a challenge on a Monday afternoon, I think at 5. And then you'd have, I think it was like 10 days to turn it round. But sometimes that's like a 10 nail piece, or like, the final challenge piece. I think we only ended up having like, I don't even think it was that many days to do it, like 7 days or something. And then you'd wait for 3 days for them to judge you, and then you'd get the result, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, I've gone through again. Then you have to start immediately. The day you get the results, you start a new challenge.
Wow.
And so it was like just like boom, 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 boom the whole time.
It was all being followed as well, wasn't it, on the Scratches Facebook and Instagram and everything? Because I was seeing each time someone, you'd get through to the next bit and the next bit, and I was like, wow, because they just kept everyone up to date with it, didn't they? It was great.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been fab, like in the respect of like, it was amazing to work with such incredible people, and the girls were really lovely. Like the girls that went into the final and stuff, we all had a lovely night at Scratch party. Scratch were incredible. Like, the hosts were really great as well. Like Winnie was lovely. It's been brilliant for networking. Like I've connected with loads more techs and stuff. And like I said, I wouldn't change it, but I just think I was probably a little bit underprepared for that level of competing, maybe. But I'm glad I threw myself into the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say to you, what would you say to anyone, like advice wise, for people wanting to get
Yeah.
into the competitions?
I know it's really cliche, but I would say just do it.
Mm,
Find something that you're really passionate about. Make sure it's one that you really want to do, because I think that often shows in what you produce.
yeah,
Well, for me, anyway, it definitely does. And I think if you're not confident or comfortable to go in person, do an online one. Pick a good one like Now Olympia. That, I mean, that runs so smoothly. I've done a few smaller ones before, and Now Olympia just runs like a dream. Like, if you have any issues, they're back to you same day. Alex Fox is incredible anyway, as you well know.
mm,
And it's just like a well-oiled machine, and it's incredible. And for me, it's not even about winning and placing. It's about the feedback, because Now Olympia, Pro Beauty, and World Star Nail Artist all gave feedback every time. So even if you don't place, you'll get. I believe you get feedback for all of them.
amazing.
Especially World Star Nail Artists, they gave us like feedback in the droves, like 10 judges feedback every time, like sometimes.
That's so
But yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's invaluable, you know? Like, you've got Alex Fox in your inbox telling you where you need to improve, then you think, okay, I'm going to do that, you know?
I'm just looking at your set.
Oh, I've just seen it, yeah. Is that the really wild one?
The wild one, the final challenge brief. I just wanted to
Yeah,
remind myself again of all the details because obviously in my mind it sticks because I've seen it
yes.
so many times. But I wanted to just look at all this detail. Everyone needs to check those out. These are insane. With your final challenge, you placed fourth in that competition, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. So I came fourth, which was great because I didn't expect to. And I think it was a real wild ride for me because I'd got through to the final four the first time. And then the two finalists that went straight through to the final went through, and me and Camilla went into the wild card. So we had to claw our way back out again
Wow.
to get into the final again through the wild card, because obviously the whole time the main challenge was running, every week that somebody went out, they went into a wild card challenge where at the end they could earn their way back into the final.
Yeah.
So I went through to top four, then out, then back into top five, and then came fourth overall. So I mean, I was chuffed with that.
Incredible.
And I've literally learned so much.
You do. That's the thing. With me personally, I've only ever done tiny little nail art competitions through
Yeah.
groups and things like that. I've never done anything crazy. I've never even done anything small, really. Just tiny, teeny weeny. And every single time, even though no matter how big or small, I think you just learn, don't you? Because you're normally in and amongst like-minded people that want to be creative as well, and you learn from the other competitors, but then also you learn about yourself as you go along, and what you love and what you don't and what you enjoy about these things, and then the feedback, like you say, it's insane. So I just love that. It's such good advice that you say just go for it, because you know what else have you got to lose? That's what you kept.
Absolutely. And I feel like with the feedback as well, like it's almost like you wouldn't get that level of like direct one-to-one feedback on your work, even necessarily if you went and did a course somewhere. Like, these are people like, you know, Hazel Dixon, Kirsty Meakin, Lauren Wyman, you know, Valerie Deschamps, like all incredible people that have won Next Top Nail Artist and or competed at a really high level, you know, who are coming back and giving you all their good knowledge and all their tips and tricks and stuff. And I mean, you couldn't really buy that, could you? Like, there's no course that would give you that. So my advice would definitely be just try it out. If you hate it, you've not lost anything anyway, you know? You don't have to do it. But I do think find one that you're really comfortable with and just give it a go. What have you got to lose?
Yeah, I think what you said about the fact that you choose the categories and things that really align with you, such good advice as well, especially because we're all going to get imposter syndrome doing things out of our comfort zone anyway. So finding those things that actually really align with you, feel good. I love it. I'm so glad that you did that. Thank you. Oh, I love it. So let's talk about Instagram for a second, because a lot of our listeners and a lot of the people that speak to me as a coach are mad about numbers and Instagram and, you know, wanting to grow online. And I always take this opportunity to speak to people in the podcast about this type of thing, because it's something that people love and they want to hear about. So how did it feel when you lost your account? Just tell everybody, A, where had you got it to? B, How long had it taken you? And
Oh
see,
God.
how did it feel? It got taken away.
Well, so I just, and this is so sad. I laugh about it now, but actually at the time, and I know it's real like first world problem, but I
Yeah.
was like, what has happened? Like I've just been, so I've been doing it for about 2 years at this point, I think.
Mm.
And it had just got, I had just hit 3,300. And in my mind, I had a little goal I'd set myself for the end of the year, like 3.5. And it was about November. So I thought I can do this, because I do my Christmas lives every year. They're usually quite popular. So I thought by Christmas, 3.5, that's doable. Like, this is really cool. And I've been really like, posting, like trying, on
Mm.
top of it. And it had just switched to 3.3. And I came off of my app, called my husband and said, oh, I think I'm going to be able to like, do this by Christmas. I'm so excited. Bring the Prosecco home. Right. Which is probably like a really small win for most people. But I was like so excited that
So
many people wanted to see my work and stuff.
that's the other
And
thing. Celebrate these small wins, it's the other
yeah,
thing, isn't it? Because people all think it's got to be bigger and it's got to, no. I
yeah,
like
no.
that we're celebrating every little thing along the way.
Yeah, that's it. And I think if you have those little goals, it's much more achievable as well, because you're like, yes, every step of the way, patting yourself on the back. And I just thought, no, that in my mind, that was a milestone for me. I'd never dreamed it would get as big as 3 even. So 3.5 would have been fab. So anyway, brings the Prosecco home. I sorted the kids out, sat down to have a glass, opened my app, and it threw me out. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That's never happened before. Tried to log back in. Your account's been disabled. We'll get back to you within 24 hours. And I'm like, what now? I don't understand how this has happened. So anyway, I'll find go, tap, 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 writing them an email saying, what have you done? What's going on? Oh, no, it's fine. It'll be back up and running in 24 hours. I'm sure it's just a mistake, whatever. Like, that's what the info was telling me. Like, sometimes it happens and it pops back up, fine. So I'm like, okay, fine. 24 hours goes past, nothing. And I'm thinking, okay, this isn't great. Because obviously, within the time, I laugh now, but it really wasn't that funny. Within those 2 years, I'd obviously connected with loads of amazing people, and I didn't remember hardly anybody's handle.
Yeah.
I knew them as, I don't know, Sarah in my inbox. I've been chatting to for 6 months about nails, and I'd recognise her when her picture popped up or I saw her handle, but not to memorise,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I going to do? So I had a personal Instagram at the time that I didn't really use. And as many people as I could remember, I just went and followed and dropped them all a message to let them know that the account had gone down. And I thought, well, this is it then. I can't be bothered to do this again, really.
Yeah.
And that was really like my mindset. So they make you, it's so random. So they make you send like a mugshot photo into them to try and get your account back, right? So it would be, you're not allowed, like you have to have hair off your face, a bit like a passport photo. Mm-hmm. Bear in mind, I wasn't in the best of moods. So I've got this lovely, really unhappy face, and then you have this nice bit of paper, and you have to have the paper fully in the frame. You have to put a reference number, your name, and something else. I can't remember what it is now. And you have to send them this mugshot and say, look, this is what's happened. It's a mistake. I don't know what you think's gone on. Can I have my account back, please? And to this day, I've never ever heard from anybody.
Isn't that ridiculous?
And it's got a thing coming up to that. I mean, it's probably been at least about 2.5 years now since it went.
Yeah.
And I've never heard back from anyone. I still don't know what happened.
That's mental.
I mean, I came to the conclusion, though, I think it might have been my own little bit of naivety being quite new to it. I had a lot of those. I've heard a lot of people getting hacked, and a lot of people getting those really pesky bot accounts that would like send inappropriate messages and stuff. And I'd seen lots of them watching my stories, and I thought, panicking, thinking, oh, what if they're going to try and hack me or something? I've got no knowledge whatsoever at this point, or even now, how that would work. So if somebody recommended one of those apps, keeps an eye on who's on your page. So if they get a bot account, you can just block them, right? And I'm thinking, it must be like an Instagram thing, great, because it's like Instagram, whatever it was listed as. It looked like it was an Instagram affiliate thing. So I thought, I'll get one of those, and it will just let me know if anybody weird's on my page, So I think it was that. And somebody said to me afterwards that they thought it was that as well, because apparently they're not anything to do with Instagram. And although it's nothing untoward, Instagram flags them up as if you were buying followers or something. Because with the buying followers, it's a third party, I think, accessing their app, right? Their account to do whatever they do on there. Again, not a clue.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And I think it was flagging up as like a third party trying to access my account again. Every time I checked that app, it'd be like, oh, has anyone been on my page? And
Mm.
every time it's obviously logging in remotely and they're thinking, oh, that's weird. And I think that's what it was. Either that or some sort of copyright because I do a lot of Disney. That's the only thing I can think it might be, one of those two. I'd never bought followers. I didn't do anything like untoward. I never had anybody trolling me or anything like that I could think someone would have an issue. I
Mm.
just didn't understand. It just went poof, just gone. And I was like, oh, I honestly think it was a blessing in disguise.
I was just about to say, first
Yeah.
of all, I think it's really important to touch on, and I think you're the first guest that I've had on the podcast that's ever lost their account. But
Oh, really?
yeah, but it's when I normally speak to people and just ask them, how have you grown such a large following, or how have you whatever. But obviously your story is completely different, and it's so good to listen to because I try to tell people all the time, don't focus too much on the numbers on Instagram and Facebook or wherever your main platform is, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. YouTube seems to be a bit better, but I mean, you don't own these things and they go at any time. If Facebook wanted to shut down tomorrow, mate, you are no longer in business.
No, that's it,
you
100%.
you've got nothing if that's what you're relying on. But if you are starting to build clientele, a database of client emails, all of these different things, or if you're an online creator and you're building contacts in a database in an email marketing system or whatever it might be, CRM system, those things you do have some power over, you do have some control over, and you can own them. So it's just so good to hear it from somebody else that has been there. And I love what you just said. Tell us a bit about that, Gemma. How did it feel, and what have you learned from that you could pass on to everyone?
Do you know what? It was horrible at the time, and I was really disappointed because I felt like I spent such a lot of time and effort, and time as well. When, like yourself, when you've got a young family, time isn't easy to come by, and I begrudged spending it on something that then disappeared. And I wasn't taking a vast amount of time away, don't get me wrong, but the only little bit of time I ever did have that was free, I would spend on that. So it felt a bit of a kick in the teeth. But I think it was a blessing, like I say, because I had definitely got to that point where I was too fixated on the numbers. I, the almost like the relief off my shoulders when I realised I don't have to post because no one's going to see it anyway. I can just post how I feel like it. I could have done that all along, but I've got in that real Instagram box of must post all the time, must not miss a day, must do this and do that. So and it kind of got to that point where I feel like I was too preoccupied. It had almost taken the joy out of it because it felt like an obligation then rather than what I had before, which was fun for me and like enjoyable for me. And so obviously, like not all of it was horrible, as I wouldn't have done it, but it definitely had changed from how it had initially started when it was an outlet and it was enjoyable. It had become more of like an art, not more of like a task than a want. So I feel like starting over gave me a lot of perspective. It was also incredible to see the industry at its best because having been someone relatively new to it, I swear I expected zero support, like not in a horrible way, but just I never would have even thought of it. But there were now texts that I'd never even connected with. I think, like yourself, I don't think
we hadn't connected before. No, I just saw people sharing your page, and I was like, "Oh my god, cool thing!" And then I checked out your new page, followed it, and then shared it for other people to follow because I was like, "Guys, lost her account, get back on it." And
honestly,
that's the first I heard of you. Yeah.
It's incredible. Everybody was in their droves, and I'm talking people I'd never spoken to before were inboxing me saying, "Look, I'll do anything I can to help you." And they were sharing it on their stories like yourself. And then I had Salon Chat giving me a shout out when they were doing their lives on a Sunday, which were really big at the time as well. And then I had bigger accounts sharing my page and letting other people know who likely followed them where it had gone. And it was just a really heartwarming, without being cringy, but really heartwarming, lovely thing to experience. And that was what then made me decide I wanted to give something back and start the Christmas live that I now do every year. Because it can be such a giving and just incredibly lovely industry to be a part of. And sometimes I think it gets a bit of a bad rap, like most things do. It honestly was astounding. I still, when I think about it now, I'm like, I cannot believe that happened. I had American, nail artists, like incredible millions and millions of followers following me, sharing me to their stories. And I've never spoken to this person. And I'm like, wow, like what a lovely thing to be a part of. And then that was it really. I kind of thought, no, I am going to do this again, but I'm going to do it on my terms. So I deleted the Instagram shortcut of my phone.
Ah,
I don't have any notifications for Instagram now.
really? Have you stuck to that?
Yep. To this day, I still don't do it. I have Instagram is in a, like, you have that, you have on an iPhone, like folders when you swipe right, that they still show some of the apps sometimes, but I don't have it on my main page, and I have no notifications for any of my apps at all. Like whether that's Facebook, TikTok, anything. And I mean, all right, I don't have a huge page, but it can still get busy sometimes if you get the notifications pinging, and it's really tempting to check. I needed that to be something that I could dip into when I had the time and come away from afterwards, because I wanted to retain that sense of peace that I got from not having that constant pressure and worry of the numbers. So yeah, I do that, and I would definitely advise people to really consider that if you ever feel a bit bogged down by the social media stuff, because that is too much sometimes. And then I would say, like, I think the other lesson it taught me, as amazing as it is to post and something you've worked really hard on and have that validation of somebody else really enjoying it and telling you how great it is, and obviously being able to connect with other texts and stuff like that is amazing. Even if you don't have anybody to see it, it's still got value. It's still something that you loved and you wanted to do and you did and you created. And even if one person sees it and loves it, that's also amazing, and that value is still the same. Yeah, great. If you could have tens of thousands of followers, amazing. But really, as long as you're happy and, and as lovely as it is to see other people enjoying your work, I almost feel like it's really important to know that your value isn't defined by the amount of followers you've got, how often you post, and whether your Instagram gets deleted. Because from my perspective, if it could happen once, like you said yourself, it could happen again. I still don't know what actually caused it. So, I'm very cautious now, just in general, anytime I see an account that I think might be slightly dodge, I just think block. Which probably is over cautious.
That's the thing. You don't know what's right or wrong.
No. So other than that, that would be my advice, kind of made me realise that I was still producing work that I wanted to produce. And it's lovely when people like it, but at the same time, when they didn't, I was still okay and I still enjoyed making it, and for a long time, I only had a few hundred followers on there because the word was still getting out. And I've been really fortunate, as I say, that the industry really banded around and helped me out to claw them back and get some new followers and meet new people. And if anything, I think probably from losing the original account, I've connected with more of my peers and people like yourself who I have more in common with, because when the account originally started as like a working Nail Tech account, very different people then that were following me to the people that now my work is probably more relevant to,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was a blessing in disguise, but it gave me some perspective, and I think that's really easy to lose with social media in general.
It is, yeah. And like you say, you've got to have fun. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And always uphold that like value that you put on your work and what you do.
Yeah.
It's like anything, people sometimes feel like their work isn't good enough, but to their ideal client or whatever, or to their people, like as in whether they're a creator or an artist for clients, I mean, so whether it's the people online or whether it's whatever, their audience that's what they value, right? That is, those things are specific to them and that's what they value, and they're always going to hold that in of high regard and high value. So you have to remember that and do the same, because it's you can't lose sight of that, I don't think. I love the other thing that you just touched on as well when you said community. And there was something else that you said, and I'm trying to remember it now, word for word, but I can't. But yeah, I just love the advice that you've given, because it's so important to just stay true to yourself.
Yeah. 100%.
which is what you've just described in my ears. That's how I'm hearing it. Stay true to yourself. And it's been lovely to see you grow your account again. And,
Oh, thank you.
you know, it's done wonders again for you. And like you just said, actually, about the followers being different, I think with some people as well, they don't realize that when their business evolves or their account evolves, that is when it becomes harder to get the engagement.
Yeah.
Because, and I've spoken to people about this before, the engagement will be at a certain level when you're putting out certain things to that audience. And then if that audience that was engaged doesn't pivot with you, then there's going to be a disconnect, isn't there? So
yeah, and I think that had definitely happened for my account originally. I think I was a new account. I'd never done Instagram. I didn't understand. There was lots of follow Fridays, which again, I didn't understand. And I was trying to connect with other nail techs. So I'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's a good way to, you know, meet. And sometimes it was, but for the most part, it ended up being a lot of people following out of either obligation or because they liked the nails I was doing at the time. And then gradually, as time went on and things started changing on my page, it wasn't a natural move into an audience that would come with me. It was sort of more sprintering off, and the engagement was never great on there. But then as soon as I lost the account and started building back up again, the engagement picked right up. And, you know, that's been fab in itself anyway. Because as much, you know, as much as I can say, you know, we need to value our stuff, and I totally believe that, the validation is lovely. If you put something you've worked really hard on and somebody says to you, that's incredible, I love it, what an amazing feeling. And it's addictive. And I think that was the trap maybe I fell into first time round. And now I just try and keep myself in like a very nice Instagram's fab while I'm on it. But then when I'm off of it, it stays in its folder away.
I've tried that. I love that you've done it. I've got on my phone, my homepage is completely optimized to my front page being all about me, health, family, everything else. But then I have leaned back in and put in all of my business apps, and notifications still come through. Maybe I need to take a leaf out of Gemma's book. Maybe I need to be a bit more serious with myself on that, because I get bogged down. And the external validation is such a real thing. We all search for this external validation, but I read in a book recently by Stephen Bartlett about external validation, and it's things that we know that we don't need it, but hearing in his words, sort of speaking it through his book, it just hit me again. So recently I've really been working on the fact that, you know, my true authentic self does not require anything but internal validation. I don't require anything external to validate who I am and what I do and what I value. So yeah,
and it's weird that you say that, because that is basically what I answered to the other question you had for me about one of my more embarrassing experiences.
Tell me, let's go on to that.
Honestly, I just thought, oh my god, what you just said is basically what I was going to say. So I was just like, I've got to tell it, because otherwise it sounds like I'm just copying what she just said. No, so I was racking my brain. I'm thinking, well, you know, up until recently, I've not really done much networking, so I didn't have tons and tons of really cringy stories. And I realised the one thing that I'll occasionally remember every sort of 6 months that really makes me internally cringe is how I went through this phase of, and again, it was before I lost the account, so it was, you know, a couple of years ago now, before I really knew what I was doing. I was so wanting to fit into that Instagram mold of brand ambassador, brand partner, whatever it might be, that I remember vividly having a conversation. I remember there was a brand at the time that I had wanted to work with, and at the time I thought they would be a great fit. I remember I got some feedback from them once that basically was something along the lines of, we would love to work with you, but you don't do enough natural nails. So I was like, okay, I get it, you know, fair enough, that makes total sense. And I had a conversation with my husband, and I was like, I could change my page, I could do that, I could go that route, I know how to do that. It would take me less time on some of the stuff I'm working with, because as beautiful as they would hopefully be, I wouldn't have to sit there for 3 hours doing a Disney recreation or something. You know, I could do these a bit more natural nails. I could start taking clients again. And I went on this real spiral of all these things I could do. And my husband and my mum as well were like, why would you do that?
Mm.
Because that's not what you enjoy and that's not why you were doing it. And still to this day, it makes me cringe that I probably would have done that just to work with them. And I think, like you said earlier on, it comes back to that validation and also being authentic to yourself.
Mm.
So for me, like, the right people will find you if they're for you. Like, what's for you won't pass you by, that kind of sentiment. Like, I'm quite into that kind of thing anyway.
Yeah.
That's kind of generally my attitude in life. But at that time, I was so bogged down in all the external validation and all the things that the working with this brand would offer me, because they were a big brand and, on my page would be massive. Okay, but then what? You'll be miserable.
Yeah.
Like, then
Yeah.
you're not being yourself, and then you're almost being fake, and you're showing all these people that might follow you at that point a version of yourself that isn't really you doing what you love doing, which was the point,
Yeah.
So it's not sustainable, no. And I still cringe at that now, because I think, oh no, as if I considered doing that, how like inauthentic, which, like I say, it just reminded me when you said that. But yeah, I would say that really, I got so wrapped up in the hype of the brand, of Instagram, of social media, that I very nearly sold out just to say I was part of that, and that's not cool.
That's
and
not
that makes me no, that's not cool, and that is my most embarrassing story. And what I learned from that now, especially, I work with an incredible brand who was a perfect fit with me. I've not had to change a thing. They're totally supportive, and their products are amazing for what I used them for as well. Like, they're just what I needed and what I was looking for. And had I sold out, I'd have never found them. So
what was it that made you stay true to yourself and say no?
I think I'm very close to my mum anyway, and my husband, unfortunately for him, is like my best friend. So they are real, like, true, we're going to tell you how it is to help you people. And I really value that, because I know they wouldn't purposely ever try and steer me wrong. And I felt like I could really talk to them about it. And it was when they both said the same thing, which was, yeah, you could do that. And obviously we will support you if that's what you want to do. But what would be the point in doing it? Because it's not what you wanted to do. And then, okay, great, you've got these big followers, this big brand, and you're doing this and you're doing that, but you're not doing what you love. And it was meant to be for you. It was meant to be your little bit of time away from being mummy and teacher and wife, just to be you, and build something for yourself. And that really resonated with me. I think it gave me the little head wobble that I needed.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a chance, as I say, and that's why I found it so embarrassing now when I look back on it. If they'd have turned around and said, yeah, if you make those changes, we'll take you, there's a chance that I might still have said yes. I honestly couldn't say. Now I wouldn't, but maybe at the time I would have. And that, I think, is why I find it embarrassing, because I think, had I made that decision, I would have lived to regret it, and it would have stolen the last of my joy. And I love it. It is my joy to do, like, the nail art and stuff. So yeah, I think maybe a bit of a combination of luck again and good advice. And I'd like to think that even if they had tried to bite my hand off, I'd have said no. But being completely authentic, I probably would have said, yes, I'll try it. And then I'd have been miserable and crying.
So vulnerable of you to be honest about that as well. And it will lighten someone's day, which is the whole point of this part of the podcast. I always get people to just give us something embarrassing or funny or just lighthearted, to give the people listening today that are having one of those times where they need a little bit of funniness or lighthearted stuff to just lift the mood today. That's going to do it for them. Because people being vulnerable, it lifts other people up, and it shows them that you're real and that they can be real as well. So I just love that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just tricky, isn't it? It's like a balance. Like, if you decide, I think for me it was always the sticking point of, I'm not taking clients anymore, so what am I? I felt a bit out of place. I felt like I needed to fit somewhere, and I think that was the drive for me, so badly want to work with someone at that point. I just felt like it would have made me feel more, not necessarily included, but like, more, well, this is my purpose, so I do this for this brand, but I just, hopefully everybody will have a little bit of a chuckle about the fact that I very nearly ended up not doing any characters or crazy 3D werewolves, because I was just totally change it for a brand.
They'd be so upset with you. I feel like the thing is, there, you know, the society that we live in, it's just constantly trying to put us into categories and boxes, and like, you know, to feel like you are something, you got to be doing X, Y, or Z, and you've created your own path. You went with it. You've trusted your gut, and it's all worked out. And I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've
Oh,
done
thank you.
well. What are you looking forward to in the future? What are your goals?
I would like to do a bit more competing. I've got my eye on one competition in particular, but
Mm.
I just don't feel it's like I was mentioning the next top nail artist. I've got that in my sights. I don't know why it is. I just a lot of the time when they do the challenges, it's right up my street, and again, that's what I tend to go towards and gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel ready yet. I don't know why. So we'll see. We'll see.
Mm.
I'd like to do a few more competitions. I haven't done many since WSNA because I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
So I didn't do Nail Olympia. So I'd love to do Nail Olympia again. And I've got my Christmas live coming up in December. So that's always fun. I love doing those. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's something I'd like to carry on every year, really. It'll be the third year I've done it. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, long term, I guess I wouldn't mind. I'd like to maybe do a little bit of teaching at some point.
Yeah.
Sort of marries back into what I did in my other career because I did teach alongside that. So I think there is that element of I'd feel quite comfortable doing that.
Mm.
But I don't know, that's sort of long term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I say it every year and I don't do
it. No, it's good to put it out there and just have these ideas anyway, isn't it? I think. And you'd be perfect for that, if especially when it comes to the nail art itself as well. Just a quick shout out as well to your Christmas lives that are coming up. Oh my gosh. So generous of you as well, because it takes you a lot of time and you do them for free, do you not?
I do, yes.
You do. So
I love doing them. They're so fun.
Yeah, we have listeners from all over. So if you haven't yet checked out Gemma's page, obviously you need to get in time for these Christmas lives. Gemma, where can everyone find you, please? Lovely.
So you can find me at Gemma__nail artist. That's on TikTok and Instagram, or Gemma Dawson Nail Artist on Facebook, or at Gemma Dawson on YouTube. Not that I'm on there much, but I will be. I promise.
Oh, exciting!
I've got a few. Yeah, I've got a few like longer videos on there of like the Dalmatian set and stuff like that. But I don't use it as much as I'd like to. I would like to do a bit more on there.
Oh, I love it. Okay, perfect. I'm going to pop everything in the description below so everyone will have access to where they can find you. And I really highly recommend that they do, because I love seeing your gorgeous work in my scroll every single day. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will see everyone else on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights that will help you in your beauty business and life. If you did, please take a screenshot and tag me in your stories. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials. The links are always in the descriptions. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more and more great content. Until next time, keep building that business.